the more I listened to audios and heard Kobe speak, the more I realized how elevated his knowledge was, his intelligence was, his awareness was, his wisdom was, and I became attracted and addicted to watching videos. I have become obsessed with reading about Kobe, listening about Kobe, listening to Kobe. I had to share it with you because I gained so much from it. So I decided to frame tonight's leadership around the Mamba mentality, because the more I learned about it, the more I was like, this is how you become great at anything. And I'll be honest with you, it's gonna cause radical change in your mind and thinking. You know, so I'm just gonna preface what I'm about to say with, I'm about to talk about something that is pure, absolute greatness. Greatness tonight. And I'm gonna tell you that it's lofty. Like it's the type of leadership that I feel like is only for like the elite that want it. And I'm gonna believe and have faith that you're the elite that want it. And I'm also gonna have faith that God put us in this room, the right people strategically, because this is for you. Does that make sense? And it is for me. So, but the message tonight needs to last you for the rest of your life. It needs to last you for the rest of your life. Because first of all, like one thing I can tell you about the Mamba mentality is it's a never-ending thing. The basic premise of it is that it doesn't end. So therefore, it's important that you write this down, reflect on this, and go back to it, okay? So I'm gonna start the conversation by talking about how the Mamba mentality was developed and how it happened. Early in Kobe Bryant's NBA career, he was 25 years old. He was married. He had one daughter at the time. He was in a hotel room in Colorado, and the hotel employee there, a young girl, she was 19 years old, he ended up having sex with. What happened was the girl then reported him and said that she was raped. When she said that she was raped, obviously this caused a lot of issues for Kobe Bryant, because one, you're married and now you've been outed that you definitely did something. But then the worst part about it was that the girl was saying it was not consensual. The point is, he had to go through a lot personally, a lot of public ridicule. You know the world we live in. The moment you could be a hero one moment, but the moment that your name is associated with something like that, then all of a sudden people dog you and run you through the mud. He was playing in a game against the Orlando Magic, and back in the day, Kobe had somewhat of a rivalry with another one of his good friends, Tracy McGrady. Tracy McGrady was another player who came straight out of high school, like Kobe Bryant did. They came straight out of high school, and so that's what made them unique as players. And they were both revered to be the new faces of the NBA. And they began to play against each other in this game. In the first half, Kobe Bryant had 1 point. Tracy McGrady was given his account of this game, and he was saying that Kobe Bryant didn't seem like he was there. He didn't seem like he was himself. His posture, his body language, it wasn't who he was. He wasn't Kobe Bryant. He wasn't playing with much effort. It was like his head wasn't in the game. His teammates were looking at him like, your head's not in the game. And what it was in his personal life, like I just want you to imagine for just a moment, you're at a point in your life where you've been embarrassed and ashamed. You've been accused, ridiculed, your character has been demolished. And now you don't know if you're gonna spend the next year playing basketball or if you're gonna spend the rest of your life in jail, because that was what he was facing, life in prison, okay? So he didn't know what he was gonna face. So imagine the weight of that and trying to concentrate on playing basketball. At halftime, he realized that he wasn't himself and that he wasn't playing basketball, and he made a decision in that moment. I've got to control what I can control. He said, I can't control what this girl is saying. I can't even control what the courts are what the verdict is gonna be. I can't control what the public thinks about me. But there's one thing that I can control. And Kobe Bryant played basketball since he was the age of 2. He could dribble at the age of 2. He could do all these things. Basketball was his life. His father was a professional basketball player in the NBA. His father eventually moved and played professional basketball in Italy, where Kobe grew up most of his life in Italy. He grew up around basketball. He grew up in the gym. Basketball was his life. He was obsessed with basketball. So he said, I'm going to focus on what I can control, and I'm not going to focus on what I can't control. And what he did was he created this alter ego. And this alter ego he called the Black Mamba. And he actually got it from, now see, here's where I started doing research. I assumed he got it from the snake. But he was watching Kill Bill. And I'm still gonna go back and watch the movie because I know there's more I can extract to add to this conversation, because this won't be the last Black Mamba conversation that I have. But there was something about the alter egos that they had in that movie and how this mode, this cold-blooded killer mode that these assassins would go into, that he said, I've got to be cold-blooded. When I get on the court, I can no longer be Kobe Bryant. His name was being run through the mud so bad, so he became Black Mamba. Black Mamba had no regard for anybody, no regard for human life on the court. Like literally scorch the earth was the mentality. Like if you're in front of me, it's not personal, but I'm sorry, but you're going down. Like it's just, and he came out that second half of that game, literally, and I'm talking about a psychological thing. He literally took everything, all the mess that was going on in his life, the anger. And when I say this, some of you, I want you to really take in what I'm going to say, because I'm going to dig deeper into this. He took the mess that's going on in his life. He channeled the mess, this anger, this all this stuff, and he put it into what he devoted his life to. He put it into the sole focused goal that he had and turned it into this energy, this competitor that was ruthless, and he took it out on that. Okay? And he came out of the second half and scored 38 points in one half and was a completely different player. And they were like, he didn't look the same. And it was because he allowed himself to create this alter ego that he could live in when he got on the court. And when he got on the court, that's all he was. And to hear the account of the other players that were there, it's just amazing to hear that. But that was the birth of this Black Mamba mentality. So in my research, I still wanted to say this. I said, he's called Black Mamba, so I have to research this snake thing. And I love like diving deep into animals and learning about what I can learn. And I was beyond fascinated with what I gained. And I was beyond fascinated. Now, in all my searching that I could find, I hadn't found it yet. So if it exists, I'll go on record by saying I haven't seen it yet. But I hope maybe it is out there. But if not, then I definitely put something together that may possibly be for the first time. But when people ask Kobe about they ask him directly, what is the Mamba mentality? Dissect it for us, break it down. His response is commonly the same. And it's premised around being the best version of yourself. Living a life where you're becoming the best version of yourself by being better each day. That's the premise of it. He never mentions a snake. In anything I've ever seen, he's never talked about the animal. But I said, you know what, let me research the animal anyway, because I actually did this research backwards. I was so interested in learning about the animal and why he called himself Black Mamba that I wanted to put the pieces of the puzzle together for myself, only to find out that he named himself after a character from Kill Bill. But I learned something about this animal that I want to share with you. I'm going to talk about the Black Mamba, the snake, right now. It worked out like this. I promise you I didn't plan this. It just worked out. It was perfect. Kobe was number 8. That was one of his numbers. And I have 8 bullet points for you. So if you want to number 1 through 8 or whatever the case may be, do it. But this is what I learned about the snake and Kobe. This is what they got in common that blows me away. And I want you guys to internalize this and ask yourself, how am I going to use this in my business? How is this going to turn my business around? So the first thing I want you to know is this about the Black Mamba. Bullet point number one, I want you to write this down. It's the most dangerous and the most feared snake in the world. It's the most dangerous and the most feared snake in the world. Now, I know Mr. Richard Powell always talks about the lion. I'm gonna beat up on the lion a little bit tonight, only because in the research that I did, it has some lions in it, but it's not against the lion. But one thing about the lion that he always brings up that I like is that he says the lion is not the smartest animal in the jungle. It's not the biggest animal in the jungle. It's not the fastest thing in the jungle. But nonetheless, the lion rules the jungle because it's about attitude, right? Well, I guess in that regard, that's what the black mamba has in common. The black mamba is not the most venomous snake. There's more venomous snakes out there. The black mamba is not the largest snake in the world. It is the second largest venomous snake in the world. Bad boy grows up to 11 feet long. It's long enough, right? But here's why it's the most dangerous snake in the world. Because it is venomous. In fact, it has a 100% mortality rate. If you get bit, you will die within the hour without antivenom. This snake has enough venom in one bite that it could kill 20 adults, I've heard, which is pretty insane. The snake is pretty large. It's 11 feet long, as I said before, but what makes it the most dangerous snake in the world, because there's longer snakes, there's more venomous snakes, what makes it dangerous is that it's the fastest snake in the world. It is the fastest snake in the world, fastest land snake at least. And what makes it even worse, it's aggressive. It is the most aggressive snake in the world. It is aggressive. So with its aggression, its speed, its size, and the venom, it's fast. It goes 12 miles an hour on land, faster than a human being. Yeah, it would suck if they lived in the United States. Because you ain't outrunning that bad boy. It's a fast thing. So Kobe Bryant was a feared opponent. He was feared. And what you have to do in your business at some level is you have to be feared. I'm not talking about like your customers got to be afraid of you. I'm not talking about your team's got to be afraid of you. I'm talking about any obstacle, anything you come up against ought to tremble when you come. It ought to fear you. You ought to be, I heard something, I can't even remember where I heard it from, but it was powerful. Someone said, in order to be the safest person in the room, you have to be the most dangerous person in the room. And I was like, dang. In order to be the safest person in the room, you have to be the most dangerous person in the room. That was powerful when it hit me. So being dangerous is absolutely something. Being feared, being respected. That's another synonym for the word fear. It's not that people got to tremble like you're going to murder them or anything like that. It's, are you respected? Bullet point number 2. They are extremely territorial. They are extremely territorial. Why is this significant? And how does this relate to business? I'll start by kind of telling you a story, and this is where the lion kind of comes in. So one of the videos that I watched, man, it was crazy. So these snakes live in holes, or, you know, just like any other snake, right? And there was a lion that just was resting. It just rested, just laid down. It didn't realize it was laying next to a black mamba hole. And they're videotaping this, and all of a sudden the black mamba comes out the hole, like, because they don't like their territory, like they don't want you in their territory. If they feel like you're blocking their front door, their hole, like, we got a problem. So the lion's just laying there. It's just resting. And all of a sudden the black mamba comes out like, whoa, 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 whoa. And bit the lion in the leg, right? And the lion didn't even feel the bite. The lion's just like this, like, yawning, resting in the sun, taking in the breeze. It got bit, didn't even feel it. And I'm watching this, and all of a sudden, you know how they got the guy who's narrating? And he was like, this lion will be dead in an hour. And I was like, dang, it didn't even feel the bite. They said within the hour, this lion will be dead. And I'm like, yo, that's messed up. Because I think it's messed up from the lion standpoint. I'm like, man, this sucks. Like, and it was a young lion, and like he got bit, and he's just yawning. He don't even know it. But the guy who knows what bit him and saw what happened was like, oh, he's dead in an hour. Within 30 minutes, I believe it was, this lion, they go to the footage, it's laying dead. It's dead. Extremely territorial. You got to get territorial about your business. You got to get territorial about your why. You got to get territorial about your family. You got to get territorial about your dream. You got to get territorial about everything that you're coming after in this world. Your calling, you've got to get territorial about it. Well, and when I say territorial, do you bite people? Maybe. If somebody wants to block your path, if they want to block your open doors, if somebody wants to, prevent you from doing what you need to do in your business, you need to become territorial. You need to respect what you have to the point where that's your territory and you don't take any nonsense. You don't take anything because eventually you're going to be respected. In fact, I don't have this as a bullet point, but here's what I mean by you'll be respected. Check this out. It was another video I watched, and the black mamba, one thing about it is that the body is so strong that even an 11-foot snake, it can get 3/4 of its body to stand vertically, which means it only needs 1/4 of itself on the ground. So this bad boy can stand up to about this high. And what it does is, they showed this one thing, they said it's respected in Africa. The thing slithered up. There was a herd of like wilder buffalo or something, right? Some big African wildebeest thing. And the snake is like, I need to cross. And all it did was just rear up and go. And the buffaloes was like, do. They looked and they turned and they said, it's time to head out. A black mamba that they could easily trample got up, said, move out the way. They move out the way, and then the snake's like, walk across the street or across the Sahara, whatever. But my point is, it became respected. And me and Leah even talked about that. We were trying to dissect that. Like, what did the buffalo thing leave for? Just because a snake reared up and said, and I was like, he clearly hasn't been bitten before because he'd be dead. So what is it that he's afraid of? And she was like, could it be possible that over time, this thing has gotten so respected and feared that the fear of this thing has become a fabric of the DNA of the other animal? And I was like, geez, I hope I could find out if science can validate that or not. But seriously, it didn't look at it with curiosity, like, oh, what are you? What are you, thin thing, little guy? No, it said, do. It didn't even think twice. It just left because something that buffalo saw or knew was like, death just reared its ugly head at me. I'm out. Okay. Extremely territorial. Going to Kobe Bryant, talking about Kobe, man, listen, they keep talking about having these events in the Staples Center, and they call it now the house that Kobe built. Because they wouldn't call it that if people didn't come to play at the Staples Center and have to deal with the fact that this was Kobe's home turf, that he defended, that he was territorial about. So you've got to be territorial. Number 3, they don't play and they don't hold back. Black Mambas do not play. They do not hold back. Wait till you hear this. This, I was like, oh, they don't play and they don't hold back. We got to stop playing. Like, seriously, stop playing and stop holding back. We just had a boot camp and we talked about no reserves, no retreats, no regrets. Kobe Bryant, man, his life exemplified that. This thing doesn't hold back. Here's what I mean. A lot of venomous snakes are out there. I found out that venomous snakes will sometimes deliver what's called a dry bite. A dry bite. What a dry bite is a bite that doesn't release venom. It's a dry bite. Why would a snake deliver a dry bite? My guess was a warning to let you know, step back. That hurt. I know it did. And if you come back, I got something else worse. That was part of the reason. But I learned something new. The reason why snakes deliver a dry bite is because they're aware and conscious they have a limited amount of venom. So they don't waste their venom because they don't have to. They know that if they bite you, you'll back up, you'll feel it, and you'll be like, I don't want that again. So they'll give you a dry bite. And only if you become a serious problem will they then deliver the venom bite. Or if they're hungry, they'll deliver the venom bite. I found out that black mambas never deliver a dry bite. Never. So when I say they don't play, every bite they give is to kill you. That's crazy, right? Every bite given is intended to kill you. They don't bite you to hurt you. They don't bite you to warn you. They don't bite you to say back up. They bite you to murder you. And Kobe Bryant, I was listening to an interview and he was talking about his teammates and how they said, Kobe, give us some leadership tips. How did you lead your team? And he said, I was a different kind of leader. And they said, yeah, we heard that you were hard to get along with. And he said, it's not that I was hard to get along with. He said, my standards were so high, it was hard to keep up with. And here's the deal. He said, Kobe said, if somebody was slacking in practice, if somebody wasn't doing their job, but here's what he did. He said, if he saw somebody in practice that was slacking, he would get the ball and he would embarrass them all practice, embarrass them. And then he would tell them, I embarrassed you all practice. And then he would tell them, you might want to reconsider your profession. Like if you're not going to come here and play, if you're not here for championships, if you're not here for that, if you're not here to give it your all and you're going through the motions, you don't belong being a Laker and you don't belong in the NBA. You don't belong a professional basketball player. Get a new career. And he would literally play people so hard and he'd recommend a career change for them. Now, how crazy is that? That's how Kobe Bryant carried it with his teammates. So again, they don't play. Every bite's designed to kill you, and they don't hold back. They don't care about running out of no daggone venom. Every bite is a kill bite, period. That's how Kobe was on the court. There's tons and tons of other players, teammates, coaches, executives who, when they observed Kobe in practice, for example, he would practice game situations at game speed. He would practice endless shots, made shots. So it wasn't just practice. He wasn't just putting up jumpers. He had to make a certain amount of jumpers, 1,000. He would do this. So when they asked him to shoot a game winner, he was never nervous and he was calm. And they asked him, why is he so calm? And he's like, because when they ask me to hit a game winner or to shoot the last shot, they're not asking me to do something I haven't already rehearsed 1,000 times. When he got the ball, it was to embarrass you. Keep in mind, Black Mamba, again, is fueled by all this anger and all this rage and all this stuff. Next one, 4. The Black Mamba knows no limits, and it takes on things that it cannot do. The Black Mamba knows no limits, and it takes on things that it cannot do. That's why I upped Brittany's goal. Because I said, you know what? What you think you can do more. Kobe Bryant Kobe Bryant, after retirement, started a company he called Granity Studios, because he was a creative. He actually fell in love with writing when he was in school, and he loved writing fiction, believe it or not. But his fiction was designed with motivational messages where he was putting the Black Mamba mentality into fictional stories to make them appealing to children so that he could get children to have that Mamba mentality early in life. And it was his passion. And he was an obsessive, and he only hired people who were other obsessives. And what he said was, that, he created the word granity. And they were like, well, how did you come up with the name granity? And he said, it's a word I made up. It means greater than infinity. So he called his company Granity, greater than infinity. And I was like, wow, because that's how the man thinks. Like he thinks beyond infinity. Crazy stuff, right? So the Black Mamba, the same video I watched when he bit that lion, right? When he bit that lion, the lions land there dead. And I'm watching this video like, this thing is a cold killer. Cold killer. It goes up to the lion and it opens its mouth. And they were like, it's trying to eat the lion. It's trying to eat the lion. Like the Black Mamba's head is only like, like that. And it opened up its mouth. It was like this. And they're like, it's trying to eat the lion. And I'm like, this thing is the devil. It's trying to eat the lion. And it made several attempts. It was like, and it couldn't eat the lion. And I'm sitting there taking notes like, the thing doesn't know that it can't eat a lion. It has no consciousness that it can't eat a lion. It has no consciousness that it can't eat a lion. It believes it can. Like, it's crazy. It believes in the impossible. It takes on things that it cannot do. Going back to Granity, Kobe Bryant was talking about his company and how he hires people and his process. And he said, what's different about it is that I'm not the writer. I'm not the illustrator anymore. I'm not this. So I have to hire people and depend on others to do it. So I hire obsessives, people who are like me. I was obsessed with becoming the best and the greatest basketball player of all time. I was obsessed. So he's like, I hire people who have that obsessive trait. And he says, when they come to him and they say, hey, I want to do this, but I can't. So I'm going to do this. And he says, you can do that? This is what he says to them. Oh, you can do that? And they're like, yeah, I can do that. He said, okay, then I want you to do this. I can't do that. Then I want you to do that. Because he said, once they do it, then I've caused somebody to do something that they didn't think they could do. And then somebody realizes that they can do more than they think they can do. And then all of a sudden it becomes a belief system that I can do more than I think I can do. I think this is a big one for us tonight, because I think a lot of us have the self-imposed limitation of what we think we can do, or where we think our place is on the charts, or where we think we should be as a marketplace, or what we think our role is in this room, or what we think our reputation is, or what we think we're known as in here, or what we think our limits are as far as how great we can be. All that stuff needs to go. The Mamba mentality doesn't have that. If we are to assume as a team the Mamba mentality, we can't have a limitation like that. We've got to absolutely believe in what's impossible. We got to believe that with our little mouth, we can eat a lion. We've got to believe that we can do that. And this thing, when it realized it couldn't eat the lion, man, it was like so pissed. Like, I can't eat this lion, but I tell you what, I'll slither all over its body and let everybody know I killed this joint. And that's what it did. It just slithered all over its body, like, killed this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like ignorant, like a psychopath murderer snake. Like, I can't eat it, so I'll just slither all over it. People can walk by and see I conquered this thing. And I'm like, geez, this snake is like, whoo, like the Mamba's the truth. So it knows no limits. We can't know limits, guys. That's got to come off today. It's got to come off today. All right. I mean that. 5, channel anger and turn that energy into attack mode. You got to be in attack mode in this business. You can't wait for something to come to you. You can't wait for customers to come to you. You can't wait for someone to post, I just moved. I'm getting a new house. You can't post for someone to say, I hate my cell phone. You can't wait for someone to say, someone broke in my house. You can't wait for someone to say, I need money. You can't wait, because the snakes don't wait. These things don't wait. The Mamba mentality doesn't wait. Kobe didn't wait for lanes to open up for him. He didn't wait for defense to back off of him. He didn't wait for the league to get weak to go win championships. He didn't wait. I saw something today that said Kobe, through the duration of his career, he had to play Vince Carter in his prime. He had to play Tracy McGrady in his prime. He had to play Jordan in his prime. He had to play Wade in his prime. He had to play LeBron in his prime. He had to play Allen Iverson in his prime. He had to play all these players in his prime. Not his prime, their primes. Does that make sense? He went up against all these opponents at their primes and still was a dominant player in the league. Because he was able to channel all this stuff and focus it on attack mode energy. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy what this man was able to do. And like, that's what we got to do in this business. We got to channel it. We got to take it, move it into positive energy. We got to use that energy to allow us to attack. So when we feel tired, when we feel comfortable, when we feel this, a quote you've seen circulate is Kobe is saying, I have nothing in common with lazy people. You've all seen that. If you haven't, it's circulating heavy. It's one of his most famous quotes. I have nothing in common with lazy people. Kobe woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He channeled his energy into that. That's what we got to do. When you feel like you don't want to go out because it's cold, it's dark. I just ate. I'm only saying this because I can relate to it because I've done it. When my kids and me are in my pajama pants and we're about to watch a movie and Netflix is on, we got the fire going and dinner smells good. Oh, I'd like to get to bed early tonight. Yeah, I know if I leave this house, I know it's going to be another 12 o'clock night. That's comfort. That's waiting on something to come your way. He talked about sacrifice isn't sacrifice. Now, I know that's my second part, but sacrifice isn't sacrifice. He said, if you feel like it's sacrifice, you need to get a new profession. Because they were like, Kobe, how did you sacrifice all those mornings in the gym? How did you sacrifice all these workouts? How did you sacrifice? He was like, well, first of all, I don't look at it as sacrifice. My mission was to become the greatest basketball player ever to live. And practice was part of that. So I don't consider it sacrifice. And he's like, anybody who considers it sacrifice doesn't really like ball. And they should do something else. So we can't view it as sacrifice. Like, for example, I know Seville has been running up and down the road, leaving her family, this, that, and the third. And while, yes, that's sacrifice, I know for a fact that she was motivated and excited about going and what the impact she was making, to the point where she was so excited about it. That's what caused her to wake up one morning to go to York, Pennsylvania to get a SIM card. That's what causes her to go down to no-shows in Fredericksburg, Virginia, because she's driven by what's happening right now. So she's not even thinking about the sacrifice. Yes, she misses her kids. Yes, all this stuff. That's all important. But she's driven by something that allows her to overcome the mommy guilt that she used to deal with all the time. And we all can get to that place where we can get over that, like we won't have that guilt or that, that feeling that we're missing out on some other things. Kobe said it loud and clear. Like, I had a meeting with my family last Sunday, and the meeting was about, you don't make enough time for us. And, and they were concerned about it. And like, I miss you. You don't call me. You don't spend time with me. You don't, make time for me. You're always gone, ripping and running, doing other things. And Kobe said it. He said, when I committed to this life, everybody who I was with knew I committed to being the greatest basketball player of all times. That was my commitment. And that commitment came, one of the things I had to give up. Because we all know we got to give up some things. He said, one of the things I had to give up was time with family. But Kobe always had a long-term vision, and he knew there would come a day where basketball was no longer there. He knew his window to become the greatest was small. So he told his family and let everybody know, this is my dream. The window's small. I'll be there for you. But during this window, I got blinders on. I'm becoming the greatest ever. Like, have you ever thought about becoming the greatest ever at what we do? If not, think about that. Consider it. Put that on the table as an option for you to become the greatest ever at what we do. Not because you love cell phones, not because you love energy and Vivid and all that stuff, but because you know what this does. The better you get, the more impact you have in people's lives, and the better you have the impact on your lifestyle. That's why you should be the best ever at what we do. because you sacrifice way too much not to go after the best. And that was Kobe's belief. Whatever you should do, you should just be the best at it. Next one. It's a persistent killer. This kind of piggybacks off the last one. Persistent killer. A persistent killer. Going back to that lion video I watched, before it tried to eat the lion, the dead lion, it bit it 4 more times. The dead lion. Which dispels the myth that you can play dead if a snake is around you, because it's going to bite you anyway. It'll bite your limp land body, because that thing is a stone cold persistent killer. Like it's like in the movies where you see someone kill somebody, boom, they kill them, and then they come up and they just put 4 more in the chest for no reason. Like that's what the snake did. It rolled up on the body and was like, and they look funny when they bite, because it's so fast. Like it's so fast. It'll deliver like 4 bites, like boom. And they were like, man, it's still biting. And even the guy was like, that's how ruthless this thing is. That's how ruthless this thing is. The lion is dead, it's still biting it, still delivering venom to the body. There's a documented case. I'm going to just tell you about this. There's a documented case where this snake, a black mamba, went into a home of 8 and killed all 8 family members. It's the only documented case where 8 people were killed from one attack. This snake is responsible for that type of damage. Because it is I know that's sad, and I'm not trying to give it praise for murder, but what I am trying to tell you is it is a persistent killer. It wasn't happy with just going in one bedroom and killing somebody. It had to kill the whole house. Like seriously, it's a documented case. So once again, I'm telling you, the mentality of this thing is always to be in kill mode. Always. You just got to be in that mode. You got to be able to, like, you've got to. All right. 7, it has no regard for adverse conditions or circumstances. This thing has no regard for adverse conditions and circumstances. What does that mean? If we are to have the Mamba mentality in this business, you can't say, well, this person could do it because they had money. This person could do it because they live in a city. I can't do it because of where I live. I can't do it because I have kids. I can't do it because I have a negative spouse. I can't do it because I don't have a nice car. I couldn't do it because I don't have what they have. I couldn't do it because of this. Oh, it was raining today, so nobody showed up. It was, snowy today, so I couldn't do it. My internet connection was bad, so I couldn't do it. All these outside things that impact you, they're not good enough. Like you've got to make a decision that none of that stuff is going to stop you. One of the things Kobe said when he was 18 years old and he just went to the NBA, because his parents, he was 17 years old in the NBA. His parents had to sign his first NBA contract. When he was 18 years old, he made a decision that he would never be stopped. And he stood by the decision. I would never be stopped. You can't be stopped. You got to make that decision that you will not be stopped. The black mamba is as deadly in the air in a tree as it is on the ground going 12 miles an hour. The black mamba is as deadly as a swimmer in water as it is on land going 12 miles an hour. It does not matter the circumstance. This snake is deadly in the air, the ground, and the water. I was shocked when I seen that. Climb trees, you're safe nowhere. You're safe nowhere. And that's how your business has to be. Like, you got to go out and attack every morning. You got to wake up and say, I'm attacking this thing, and nobody's safe. Nobody's safe out here. I will come find you in the water, in the trees, or I will chase you down. Nobody's safe. I'm building my business today. Does that make sense? And lastly, 8. This was the most impressive thing to me at all. The black mamba is not called the black mamba because it's black, because it's not black. The black mamba is not black. The black mamba is called the black mamba because of what's on the inside of it. It's black on the inside. I was like, what? Its name Mamba is Zulu, originally Imamba, which means scales. So the name would insinuate black scales. And there's also a green mamba, which is green. So naturally you would think this thing would be black scales, black mamba, but it's not actually. It's not a black snake. But you know why they call it the black mamba? Because when that thing opens its mouth, and it is, if you look it up, they call it a coffin-shaped mouth. Tell me that ain't scary. It's a coffin-shaped mouth. Everything you look up, Wikipedia, whatever, you look up, when they describe the anatomy of this snake, they say it has a coffin-shaped mouth. That when it opens its mouth, the inky black interior scares apparently buffalo and everything else. So this perplexed me, and I couldn't find an answer, but I want to dig and find this answer. So if somebody digs and finds this, let me know. But do you understand that animals have warning markings in nature? So if like you see a frog and that thing is like neon green with yellow polka dots, don't touch it. You know what I'm saying? If you see a ant running across and it is red and black stripes, that's a danger marking, don't touch it. Does that make sense? So danger markings typically are bright. That way you have fair warning, I am dangerous, don't touch me. This is black death, inky black coffin-shaped mouth. This scares everything. It's not a bright color. And that's what shocks me, because I didn't consider that to be, based on my limited knowledge, a warning color or a danger color. But nature, these animals, again, I don't know if they grew up and they're instinctually, but when they see that thing open its black mouth, they run. It instills fear. It looks like death, literally. And that's what it is. It is death. Because that thing bites you, I told you, 100% mortality rate. You're done within the hour. I thought that was crazy. Now, why did I think that was the most interesting fact? And how does that relate to your business? Because its name and its lore comes from what's on the inside. And I want everybody here to understand that, like, the inside of you is what's going to define you too. You got to pour in your mind the audio. You got to decide in your mind that you're relentless. You got to decide in your mind that you are the killer, that you will win. You got to decide in your mind, because ultimately everything that you put on the inside or that you believe on the inside is going to manifest on the outside. But it was important to me to share with you guys at bullet point number 8 that this thing is not named for its outside, it's named for its inside. You'll be named, you'll be labeled. What will your legacy be? Kobe Bryant will always be remembered for what was on the inside of him. His mentality, they call this Mamba mentality, but when you really study it, it starts as a mentality, but it manifests in actions. It manifests in what he did. It manifests in his anatomy and his athleticism. So he became what he thought. And that's not a foreign concept. We've all heard about that before. We got to go get it. We must adopt this mentality. We have to. We have to be stone cold. No more games, no more plan, no more reserves, no more holding back, no more average, no more limitations, no more any of that. That stuff is dead today. It died.